Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Bob Thibodeau with the Kingdom Crossroads podcast, and you are listening to Life Transformation Radio with my good friend Sean Douglas. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast so you will not miss any of the upcoming episodes, and be blessed in all that you do.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 70 countries, such as the United States, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, all across Europe and Asia. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that has changed our lives and how we use this to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live on the Blog Talk Radio Network at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time throughout the week. Join us right here at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time as we go live. You can join our Facebook community, Life Transformation Radio Community. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the show wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts. And leave us a rating or review so that we know how we're doing. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, CastBox, the Google Play Music app, or wherever you're comfortable listening to your favorite podcast. On the show are entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, podcasters, authors, amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of my guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, you can call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. So please help me welcome to the show my friend, Nikki Moore. Hey, Nikki, welcome
Hello.
to Life Transformation Radio.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I am super excited to have you on the show for a couple of different reasons, but mainly that this month is a very important month for you.
Yes, this month is March, and March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah. And so we're going to dive into your story.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to dive into your story. We're going to dive deep into why this is this is a very personal and powerful month for you. And before we do that, I want to just briefly cover this episode is titled Live More with Nikki Moore. Matt and Nikki Moore were in their early 30s, running 2 successful businesses, happily married, and with the first baby on the way. Suddenly and unexpectedly, they were faced with one of the biggest obstacles imaginable, cancer. Hear their journey of facing daily challenges, personally and professionally, opening their hearts to deeper understanding of life, and through it all, creating a brand to inspire others to live more. Now, you can go to her website at www.livemore with 2 O's, M-O-O-R-E, livemoreco.com, livemoreco.com. Now, you can go to her YouTube channel and then connect with her on Instagram and Facebook. She is doing incredible, incredible things, especially during the month of March. So, Nikki, I want you to tell the listeners, and I'm dying to know, what is your deep why for what you do?
Well, the why has, I think, transformed a bit, but Matt and I started going through the process of dissecting kind of what was happening for us as we were going through Matt's treatment for colon cancer. He was 32 years old, and he started colon cancer treatment through chemotherapy 9 days before our son was born. So in the mix of having a new baby and going through chemo treatment, we really just took a step back and started to evaluate our life and see what was changing for us as a couple individually and as a collective family within this new realm of cancer being a part of our family. And we really just took a step back and noticed that there was so much shifting for us, all the things that we used to get bogged down with, highlighting so intently on our professions and being so driven into our professional world, really being caught up in that social media highlight reels, doing what we were told to do by society so that we could be happy. And because, if you did those things, obviously you would instantly be happy. So, we were trying to make a way for ourselves. And when cancer entered our world, it was like none of those things that we were told would make us happy were making us happy. What really mattered when we were facing this life or death situation was being present and being connected to one another and spending time. We didn't know if we were going to have more holidays together. We didn't know how much time Matt and my son Cullen would have together. Everything in the future was completely unknown, and the past was over, and all we had was that present day. And so, these lessons started to formulate and come through, and Matt was really starting to, see this place of, I feel like we have this message to share with the world. And, as we were more and more present with one another, we started going on adventures and checking things off our bucket list and, doing things that we were like, okay, we'll get to those things later. But we all of a sudden didn't have a later. It was now or never kind of thing. And so that really inspired this place of, just living, really, really choosing to live life. And that inspired this lifestyle apparel brand to hopefully inspire other people to live more. Matt's big thing was like, I don't want people our age to have to go through cancer. We wouldn't wish that on anyone. But if we could take the lessons we were learning and to inspire other people to just really reevaluate their life priorities and just kind of have that wake-up call through our story, like if it could happen to us, it could happen to anyone, right? And just really like be awakened to this idea to just, live more. And so that was Matt and my why together. And so
I love it.
So like a week before Matt passed away, he said to me, please don't let the message of Live More die along with me. Please continue it. And so I absolutely honored that promise and have been working to fulfill that. And then, I think the why for me has been very focused on inspiring others to live more. And also it has evolved into this purpose as his widow to continue to inspire others through our story by sharing our story and to raise colon cancer awareness. And so that's has morphed into my two whys. But I would say the why is really grounded in this place of, if we had to go through this hell to somehow help someone else, then it would somehow be worth it in the end, I guess. We wouldn't ever wish this on anyone else. So the why fundamentally became the purpose of, I guess, this life's experience, And I think the why is continuing to evolve and shift. And, I will never understand why Matt had to pass away from colon cancer at the age of 33 years old. And I will never understand why he left behind myself and our 14-month-old son at the time. But I feel like every day and every week and every year that goes by, the why that he left behind in Livermore just begins to get brighter and shine, and really just that why gets, more and more and more deep every day, I feel like. And I'm really thankful to have Livermore to continue to carry on his legacy.
Right. I love it. Yeah, I think it's a great mission to be on. And there's so many people that we don't know that are struggling with it. Have you found that somebody hears your story and goes, "Oh my God, I lost somebody," or "I had a bout with it," or you hear a lot of people talking about it once they hear about your message?
Yeah, I hear. I think that's like the most rewarding part of this being on this mission is, someone coming up to me and saying, "Hey, I heard your story, or I watched your video, Matt's video, and it really inspired me to get involved in raising colon cancer awareness, or participate in one of your events, or it really impacted me in the way that I think about my life and how I'm living." And I've had people come up to me and say, "Your story was so impactful, and I realized how miserable I was in my job, and it's the reason why I've changed career paths." Or, I've had someone come up to me and say, I actually, got a thank you note, and it was, "Hey, I know this sounds crazy, and I know it's very different, but watching you go through everything that you've been through and continuing on the message of Livermore has really, really ended me up in, treatment for drug and alcohol." And, this person said, "If you can keep going, I can keep going." And that was like, a really amazing moment of just like, wow, you just never know how you're touching someone or how you're inspiring people, and hearing those things has been really, really powerful.
Right.
It just kind of solidifies the why and why we're doing this.
Yep, absolutely. Have you run the stats, or do you have any data on how many people are diagnosed or how many people die from colon cancer every year?
Well, 1 in 20 will be diagnosed in a lifetime, and 1 in 10 of those diagnoses will be people under 50. It is the number one cancer cause of death for men. And so, we don't really think about colon cancer as being, a big, issue that's happening within our communities, unless you're, firsthand touched by it. But the more you look at the stats, the more you learn things about colon cancer, it's actually really terrifying. The chances of getting colon cancer when you're born in 1990 are so much higher than someone that was born in 1950, which I think shows us, a great amount of information about how, things are changing, and how we need to be aware of colon cancer symptoms and screenings and family history. Ultimately, if you can catch colon cancer in stage 1, you have over a 90% chance of survival based on, if it was a stage 4, your odds drop to significantly, 6-7%. I mean, it's, so that's why my big thing is increasing symptom awareness and colon cancer awareness in general, and just pushing for screenings, because most people diagnosed under 50 are misdiagnosed. Because, for Matt, he was misdiagnosed with hemorrhoids. Oh, there's no way you have cancer. And then once he was given a colonoscopy, the first thing his doctor said to me and Matt was, "I am so shocked, but Matt has colon cancer." And that was it. I don't really remember anything else he said after that. But, but he was shocked. So I think that says a lot. And I know that other people that are diagnosed under 50, are often misdiagnosed, and, if time is of the essence, then as far as staging, really understanding family history and understanding, okay, so my parents had colonoscopies and they had polyps in their 50s. What does that mean for me now? And when do I need to get screened? And how do I just stay on top of that?
Right.
So I think for me, the stats are really astonishing, and I mean, we obviously lived it, but before Matt would have entered into the colon cancer world, I would have had no idea about colon cancer.
Right.
It would have just been that stereotypical.
That sounds about right.
Right.
That sounds about right. You never start becoming aware until it actually happens to you.
Right. You just think it's that old man disease. Like, okay.
Right. So, just a quick Google search says that approximately 140,000 people are diagnosed with colon cancer in the U.S., and over 50,000 people die from it annually.
Yeah.
There are many myths about colorectal cancer, such as that the procedure to screen for the disease is painful, when in fact a simple colonoscopy is well tolerated and can save your life because it's proper screening.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's
I think
incredible.
I think people get a little freaked out about screening, but I mean, it's really not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. Like, you prep yourself the night before, you go to sleep and don't feel anything, and you wake up and you have so much more information about your health and what's happening in your colon, and it can really save your life. So, and there's alternative screenings too, if there's things like Cologuard or other screenings that aren't as invasive, but the biggest thing is just getting screened, and if you're having symptoms, really advocating for yourself. But I mean, those numbers, 50,000 a year, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah, that's definitely a lot. Mm-hmm. So talk about that transformational moment. You were just about to give birth, days away. Mm-hmm. Something happens. Was it a regular checkup? Was it I wasn't feeling well? Kind of walk through that moment where we got to go to a doctor.
Yeah. So my husband, Matt, was super happy-go-lucky. He was one of those people that woke up happy every day, to the point of some annoyance for me. Like, how is this possible? How are you happy? Like, can I just get a minute to wake up? But he was just really happy-go-lucky. Always had a lot of energy. Played soccer 4 times a week. Had his own financial firm that he was running, and he started that when he was 30. And things were going really well. And then I would say August of 2015, he just kind of got really moody and just more irritable. And I kind of chalked it up as work stress. And then he broke his toe playing soccer. So then he started complaining about back pain, but more in his lower back. So I thought, well, maybe that's just from him breaking his toe. I don't know. And then he was just tired a lot, and that wasn't like him a lot, at all. He had a lot of energy. And those are the things I noticed. And, we had gotten into an argument, and I said, hey, you need a break. You need to just go chill out and just hit the reset button, because you are not yourself right now. And so he went to Arizona. We were living in Portland in the time. And he came for a boys' trip, and his friends went to some football games or whatever. And I remember him texting me, and I asked, it was around Halloween, I said, what are you doing right now? And he said, I'm watching Hocus Pocus with my friend's wife. And I thought that was very strange, just because he wasn't outside with all the excitement of his buddies. And I said, do you not feel good? And he said, no, I'm all right. But I could just tell something was off. And so then when he came home, he was still super irritable. And I just kind of said, all right, like, what is going on? Because I'm obviously missing it. And he looked at me and he said, I think I have colon cancer. And my eyes could not roll back any further because I was like, you were on WebMD, weren't you? And he's like, well, yeah. And I said, okay, we're not doing this again. Last time you did this, you thought you were having heart attacks, but you pulled a muscle while lifting weights, so I couldn't really take him seriously. And then he looked at me and I could kind of see the fear in his eyes. And he said, my stomach is all messed up and I am bleeding. And I looked at him and he was like a lot. And I knew that was bad. But I didn't really know what that meant. And so I said, okay, well, I'm pregnant. If you think something's wrong with you, you better go to the doctor.
Right.
Especially if you think you have cancer, like, hello. And so he agreed to it. And he went to one of those urgent care doctors. And they said, yeah, I don't think you have cancer. You probably have hemorrhoids, but let's do blood work. And, they kind of just, and Matt said, no, what else? Like, is there a test that could rule in cancer or rule it out, And they said, well, you could do a colonoscopy. So he's like, great, let's do that. But no one was really rushing because no one really thought he had cancer. So 6 weeks later, he got in for a colonoscopy. And that was when then we were told that he had colon cancer. And so,
wow.
Yeah. So that was, and he was 32 years old. And I mean, I think intuitively he knew something was very wrong with his body. He was an athlete his whole life. And, he just looked up at me after the doctor said that with tears in his eyes and just said, I knew it. And for me, I was like, okay, he has cancer. Like, this is crazy. But we're going to cut it out and maybe there's a little chemo and then we move on with our life. I mean, I was not expecting them to then come back and say, well, he has stage 4 colon cancer. He has mets all over his liver. And because of the placements of the tumors in his liver, we cannot operate. So that was that was the worst. That news was way worse than the news of him having cancer, because that was just the most devastating news ever.
Right.
And it just kind of changed the course of how his treatment was going to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that moment. I can't even imagine what that felt like.
It was like an elephant sat on your chest and you were kicked by, the hardest thing you could ever be kicked in the stomach ever. Yeah, I mean, Matt kind of just stopped talking, and, I think for a month he couldn't even say he had cancer. The doctors would say, okay, what were you diagnosed with? And he would just point to me, and I would have to say colon cancer. The shock was so intense.
How long from the time that he was diagnosed to the time of his passing?
The time of what? Sorry. Diagnosed to what?
To the time that he passed.
16 months.
16 months.
Well, let's see. He was diagnosed.
So I'm assuming it's radiation treatments and constant doctor visits, and I mean just all that, right? Well,
he did chemotherapy, which was intravenous. So, and he did that every 3 weeks, and then the cancer spread, and then they switched his chemo to a different kind, and then it was every 2 weeks, and then the cancer spread. And then they said, well, there's no more curative intent. It's just palliative care. And at that point, Matt could not accept he was 33, that he and had, almost 1-year-old. He could not accept that was it. He couldn't accept that. And he said, I'm not done fighting, and if the medical system is done fighting for me, then I'm just going to figure something else out. And so then he went to an alternative treatment facility in Mexico, and he did that for 3 weeks and then carried out those treatments until he passed away. So he did that for 3 months. But there was a lot of really hard choices in the mix of all of that. And I think that the medical system is not really set up for, 32-year-old cancer patients.
Right.
In that sense. And I think there's a lot of colon cancer fighters that have been fighting for 5-6 years. They're on their 100th round of chemotherapy. And I think everyone in the medical community will, some doctors will say, okay, like this, they kind of call it and say this is it. And if you're not done, you're not done. So, the thing I'm learning about now is, finding the right doctors that are willing to keep fighting for you and finding the right treatments and all of those things. And, I wish we would have had a better understanding of that. We just had a team that we really respected, and when they said, like, there's no other options, we didn't know that there might be another option in another hospital with another doctor. So, Matt kind of felt like he had to take matters into his own hands. But that's not true. I think one of the things I'm really learning about now as an advocate within the colon cancer world is just because one doctor says it's over doesn't mean another doctor doesn't have a different, set of treatment options or is willing to do something differently. Yeah. So if you're fighting, keep fighting. And, if someone's not willing to fight for you, fire them and find someone who is.
Right. So moving forward, how have you taken this tragedy and this huge obstacle and adversity and pain, and how have you used it to then elevate the lives around you?
I think the biggest thing that Matt and I learned was that you have a choice. And the choice is that you can either be a victim to cancer or to widowhood, or you can choose to keep living. And with Matt, we made that choice to keep living. We checked up things on our bucket list. We went on adventures. We did amazing things together. We drove Ferraris. We flew planes. Like, we did anything that was on our bucket list. Like, when people are like, oh, that's cool. It's like, no, we did big things, and just shared those, to have that shared experience. And I think as a widow, it's the same choice, Are you going to be a victim to this, or are you going to keep living? And I think for Matt and I, the choice was pretty easy because we had our son Cullen, and so I'm learning that not everyone makes that choice, or not everyone can make that choice, and I think that is my big thing. And it's not always easy. Don't get me wrong, days are really hard still, and it's not always an easy choice. But I think really staying present and choosing to keep living, and from that choice has just come the ability to hopefully inspire people to make the same choice in their life. You do not have to have cancer to make the choice to live. How many people in this world are just mundanely going through life completely miserable, for whatever reason, and they're not really living life. It's just, well, this is my life and this is how it's going to go, and I'm miserable. And I think that's our big inspirational wake up for our desire to wake people up and say, whoa, like, you don't know what could happen tomorrow. We didn't know cancer was going to come into our life. We were just going in for this routine this appointment and just kind of trying to hope it was hemorrhoids and we can move forward. Well, at least for me, that's how it was going. And then our whole world changed in an instant, and so, and I'm not the only one, right? Like that happens to other people, or, people are injured or there's a car accident. Like there are so many things that could change your life in an absolute moment. And if that were to happen, are you living a fulfilling, life that you would be proud of? Or are you just kind of going through the motions of life and are miserable? And I think that's where the inspiration comes, is really just wanting to inspire people to choose life. And I think if people can see us making those choices while we've gone through such a tragic, terrible situation that would never wish upon anyone else, that hopefully it inspires them to make that choice every day to wake up and live.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really solid and amazing message. And you said something that really resonated, was people are just waking up like, this is my life. Can't get any worse, can't get any better.
Like blah, just
but
blah.
It definitely can.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I meet widows that their partners got hit by buses. You're like, oh, that really does happen. It's not just a joke. Like people get hit by buses. People, people die in car accidents. People, I mean, like these things, but you just kind of like, oh, that would never really happen to me. But it does. It happens to people. And how do you wake up and like realize that this life, this day is a gift? And if today's a gift and tomorrow is not promised and yesterday is over, what do you want to do with today? I mean, it doesn't mean you have to go like jump out of a plane, but how do you make today worth living for yourself?
And that's what the Live More is all about. How do you make today worth living? Yes,
absolutely. And
so
how
talk about
where
you see it. Yeah, exactly. Talk about where you see it heading in the next year, 5 years. What is the big vision?
Oh, well, the big vision is really increasing, I think, just the audience and being able to share with more and more and more people about Live More. Participating in engaging in colon cancer awareness is huge for me as well. And I think just really getting that message out to people is my big vision. And also, having people be in our apparel and living their life is just so inspiring to see. So I would love to see more and more and more people just in the apparel and enjoying life.
I love it. How do they do that?
So you can go to our website at livemoreco.com and check out our apparel. So one of the special things about our apparel is that Matt started making T-shirts, designing T-shirts while he was going through chemo. And one of the side effects of chemo was this terrible rash, and it literally was from his head to his toes. And he could not find shirts that were soft enough and were comfortable enough without irritating his skin. And so part of what started Live More was his mission to find soft clothes. And then he kind of put the message and designs he was making onto these really soft and high quality clothes. And so that's kind of what sets our clothing, I guess, apart from other companies, is just really that dedication to our clothes being really soft and comfortable.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I find it astounding and fascinating that out of something so simple that a movement is carried forward, a movement is born. Something so simple as he was suffering, try to find relief, and now that's like just another layer of the story being told, and somebody can derive someone can derive inspiration from that, and someone can derive purpose from that. And I just find that so fascinating.
I know. I mean, literally, he would sit in the chemo lounge in his chair, and he would just have his computer, and he was designing T-shirts. And I would tease him. I'd be like, "What are you doing?" You know. And I thought originally he was working, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm like making all these T-shirt designs." And you know, he was in finance, so I've never seen him be really creative in that way. But you know, he left over 100 designs that he created, and I think they really kept him going through those 6-hour days, or 6-hour days of receiving intravenous treatment. I mean, it takes hours, and you know, he's kind of a busybody, so he didn't want to just sit in a chair. And so that's kind of what really gave him the inspiration to keep going too, was knowing that he might be able to inspire other people through what he was doing. And so it really gave him his life purpose in the end as well.
Yeah, it sounded like it worked. It sounded like he's inspiring people even today, and you're carrying it forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually amazing to see how far it has come just in the short time since he has passed. I think he would be really excited and happy to see it continue to live on.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is your message to those listening right now? What do you want the listeners to know, and what do you want them to do?
I think the biggest thing that I would want you to know is that it's never too late to choose to live. It's never too late to pick up your life and say, hey, I don't know how much time I have left here. We're all going to die, right? So I want to make the last years of my life, the time that I'm here on earth, impactful for myself and those around me. And choosing to live life to the fullest means this to me, and really finding and figuring out what this is for you, and doing it. I think we're really scared and taught to not really go out of the path of the norm. And one thing that is really different for Matt and I is we took risks. We both were not happy in our jobs, and we both started our own businesses. I think I was 27, and Matt was 30 when he started his firm. And I mean, everyone thought we were crazy, but honestly, in the end, I mean, they allotted for us to spend a lot of time together. Those risks helped pave the way for us to do the things that we wanted to do in life, and kind of just take that opportunity to just live our lives. You know, if we wouldn't have made those choices before, we might have been really stuck. And so I think that's the big thing, is just like really taking that risk to push yourself out of your comfort zone, to do what you've always wanted. Like if you've always wanted to do dance class, then, you know, find a dance class. If you've always wanted to go horseback riding, oh my gosh, like go figure that out, how to do that for yourself. I don't know, if you've always wanted to learn how to be a race car driver, I don't know, whatever it is, just figure it out. And I mean, yeah, it's scary and it's new and you're not really sure how to make it happen, but that's what I would want people to do. I would want them to just take what they've always dreamed about doing in this lifetime and doing it, you know, just really just diving into it. And, you know, maybe it's not 100%, but maybe just paving the path, you know, really just going down that path to envisioning that and making that happen in your life, because you just never know how much time you have. And if every day is a gift, I don't want you to ever have to look back and say, man, I wish I would have done that. And now I can't because of da, 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 da. Right. So that's what I would want people to do.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for your vulnerability and you know, you sharing with us. I know it can't be easy. and the things that you've endured and continue to endure. I just, I really want to thank you, for coming on the show and sharing everything with us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on the show and letting me share our story and hopefully inspiring other people to live more.
I'm sure it did. I'm 100% sure it did. If somebody wants to connect with you, learn more about what you guys are up to with the Live More Co. movement, where can they find you? How can they connect?
Well, you can always go to our website, which is livemoreco.com, or you can go to Instagram and we're Live More Co., or you can go to Facebook and find us. Really just kind of all over social media. And if you wanted to get in touch with me, you can always hit the contact button on the livemoreco.com.
Perfect. Nikki, I really want to thank you for your time and your energy and, again, your vulnerability and authenticity. I think this is conversations that need to happen, and I'm honored to have guests like you on the show who have been through difficult moments but have turned it around, used the pain for purpose, and that is what you have done. And these are the conversations that I love having. These are the conversations that need to be talked about. These are the conversations that, you're sitting around the dinner table like, hey, you need to get your butt checked.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to have it. That's not something that's talked about at the dinner table. Hey, when was the last time you got your butt checked? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is serious business,
It is, and really just learning, what is your family history? Because just because mom and dad maybe doesn't have something, do grandma and grandpa. Yeah.
And my dad,
my
dad is 60 years old, and a year or two ago, he had, I think he just had polyps, or he had something. He had something going on. I don't know if it was full blown colon cancer, but he had something and got a little bit of treatment, and he's fine now. But it's
you
still
should figure out what that something is, though, because you want to know, so that when that might change the course of what age you need to be screened at.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he said that that it was colon cancer. But I remember him saying something about the polyps and everything like that. But it's fine.
Yeah.
It's all up, and so maybe it was something's wrong. I need to go get checked, or maybe he just does regular screenings. But I know that I do. I get regular, whatever needs to happen, regular tune-ups, whatever you want to call them.
Good.
Because there's been a lot of cancer stuff in my family. We've had family members die from pancreatic cancer. We've had my grandfather had a brain tumor. We've had everything in our family. So, we just want to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and people are kind of, it's colon stuff, and I don't want to talk about that. But look, if you could, save your family member's life, or you could increase someone's willingness to get screened, it's worth it. We got to put some of that awkwardness behind and just talk about it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how awkward a conversation is if you could save a life.
Right, 100%. 100%. So, again, thank you so much for your time and energy. This was a great episode to inform people, and you are on a great mission to save a lot of lives.
Thank you so much.
Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest on a mission, saving lives. If anything resonated with you, please reach out to her. She needs all of your support, all of your love and your help. So reach out. Go to Live More, Moore, livemoreco.com. Connect with her on Facebook and Instagram. Join the movement to live your life more than you already are. So as we close, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.
Right now at Sprint, you can lease the Samsung Galaxy S9 for just $5 a month with a Sprint Flex lease. Galaxy S9 is an incredible phone. It takes super slow-mo video and instantly translates foreign language signs, menus, maps, and more. Lease your Galaxy S9 for just $5 a month today. Visit a Sprint store, sprint.com, or call 800-SPRINT-1. Phone $5 per month after $28 per month credit. Apply within 2 bills. If you cancel early, remaining balance due. Requires new line and 18-month lease. Excludes tax, subject to credit, $30 activation fee, and restrictions apply.